So it's just a little bit after noon. We're going to go ahead and get started. As a reminder, this is being recorded, so if you miss a little bit or want to come back and check it out, it'll be posted at a later date. Thank you very much to the Kansas Small Business Development Center for being our host and allowing us to using their Zoom platform to bring you this important information. This is our webinar, EIDL loans, what borrowers need to know. I'm Sarah Haymaker. I am the Deputy District Director for the Wichita SBA office. I have my colleagues with me. Our presenter today will be Janelle Jones, Lender Relations Specialist, and Christian Sadini, the Outreach and Marketing Specialist from our Springfield, Missouri office. And first, I will kick it off to our district directors from Kansas City and Wichita. Wayne, would you like to give us a quick welcome?
Yes, thank you so much, Sarah. Again, welcome everyone. Appreciate you all taking the time to go over this very relevant subject. Looking forward to your questions, your engagement. And again, want to also extend holiday greetings to everyone. Wish we were giving away some gifts or something today, but but in the spirit of the holidays, we are going to give you a bit of good guidance here that I think is going to be helpful in the overall life of your business. So thank you for being here. I want to thank our partners with the Kansas Small Business Development Center, and thank you, Sarah. And I'll hand it off to Michael Barrera with the Kansas City District Office.
Thank you, Wayne. On behalf of the Kansas City District Office, we want to welcome you to this webinar on the COVID-19 EIDL repayment procedures. I'm the District Director here in Kansas City, and our office covers the western half of Missouri, but we also cover a third Kansas, and we partner all the time with Wichita to make sure Kansas businesses get as much information about what SBA borrowing stuff as possible. There are literally thousands of borrowers in both the states of Missouri and Kansas, and we want to be sure that we provide our Kansas borrowers as much information as possible on the procedures for the EIDL loan repayment. Loan specialists from Kansas City and Wichita will be going through a PowerPoint that's pretty straightforward and how to sign up on your CAF system and how to start making payments. We're also proud to work with our resource partners, especially the Kansas SBDC on this particular webinar. Now we're going to turn this over to our Wichita and Kansas City loan specialist. I want to remind you that if you're not sure what district office you need to ask direct questions to, feel free to go to www.sba.gov/local-assistant, type in your zip code, and it'll promptly direct you to what office you need to speak with. Also, while you're there, be sure to sign for Gov Delivery. Get up-to-date information on SBA resources and updates on EIDL repayment. Thank you, everyone. And I will now turn it back over to Wayne and Sarah and SBDC.
Thank you, Michael. So just a couple of things. There is a Q&A function that you can post your questions. I know we have some folks that are trying to join in audio only, so we're working on getting that posted in the chat. There's also a chat function, and then I'd also like to introduce a couple of our other folks that are on here. We have Ron Basta, who is my counterpart, the Deputy Director in Kansas City. Also, Sheila Forrester from the Kansas City office, and Christy Henry from the Wichita office. These folks are part of our greater SBA team and will be helping to answer questions as you post them in the chat or the Q&A. So with that, I will also say, I know that this information here is not going to cover every question you possibly have. So do feel free to please post your questions. Look through the questions that are posted. You may see one that is something you want answered as well. Go ahead and give that an upvote if we make sure we get to those first that have the most votes for questions. And with that, I'll turn it over to our presenters, Janelle and Christian.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Wayne. Happy holidays to all the participants, and thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to talk about COVID EIDL repayment. We're going to talk about your loan details, where to find them, how to make payments, how to identify your loan servicing center, if you need assistance making your payments, and frequently asked questions. And yeah, and we have the information in Spanish as well. So the COVID EIDL program was very large. We handed out over $390 billion in working capital to 3.9 small businesses in the form of economic injury disaster loans. Businesses benefited from that funding. We put a 30-month deferment period on it, and we increased the ways that you could use those funds. During the peak of it, we were processing $1 billion and 50,000 applications per day. Prior to the pandemic, this small agency did tens of thousands of loans each year. So this was a significant increase to what we were used to doing. The average economic injury disaster loan was under $100,000, and 90% of the loans went to small businesses under 10 employees. So the economic injury disaster loan is a loan. It cannot be forgiven. It's not a grant. We automatically deferred your payments for the first 30 months. For many of you, that means if you got a loan early on in the process, your monthly payments are now coming due. Interest accrued from the beginning. What that means is even though your payment was deferred and no payment was required, interest did accrue on that loan. You are responsible for making monthly payments until the loan balance is full. If you did not make monthly payments and are just starting them now, you have additional accrued interest. Your loan payments were prescribed by your loan contract, which means that we calculated your payments out over a 30-year term, but then we deferred 30 months. If you make the payments, the minimum payments at the end of the loan term, you will have an additional amount that you have to pay. There is no penalty for prepayment. You can repay the loan at any time, and there are significant consequences if you run into loan default. Your non-payment of the loan can result in reporting to credit bureaus, garnishments, and you might receive additional tax penalty. So many people do have a statement or their note. If you're looking for your note and you do not have it, we'll share an 800 number, toll-free number that you can call, or an email address that you can email to get a copy of your note. Your note was included in the original closing documents that you signed in order to get the loan. The loan amount was here, the date was here, the interest rate was here. You will see a note account number, which is something you need to have. Additionally, some of the statements that you received after getting a loan may also have had the account number on it. So in order to make payments or see the information on your economic injury disaster loan, remember I talked about just a few minutes ago how some of the information, some of the payments, even though we had minimum payments due and they were deferred, your account continued to accrue interest. If you are curious about how much interest how much interest has accrued on your loan, you can go on to what we call Capital Access Financial System. There are step-by-step instructions on how to create a CAPS account online, and we're going to show you some of the screens here. If you need your account number, you can call this number or the disaster customer service. You can email these two places. They can help you find your account number so that you can sign up for the CAFs. You will also need, for most borrowers, you also need the Social Security number of the person who is listed as the owner of the loan or as the primary person on the loan. The CAF system will require the account number, things like the name of the account and Social Security numbers and EINs, and all this information must match before we can provide your personal information electronically. To create a borrower account, you just go to this link, you click on the not enrolled, fill out the appropriate information. It's going to ask you for account type, that is borrower. One of the ways that you can get through this system faster is by, instead of pre-filling your city and state, just use the lookup zip, enter your zip code, and then it will autofill where you are based on what your zip code says. One of the other things that many borrowers struggle with, is the country code. We don't often think of this, but some of us remember back in the day when we were dialing phone numbers, you had to hit 1 and then the phone number on your phone in order for it to go through. This is the same thing. The 1 is a country code that specifies that your phone number is located in the United States. The country code should go 1 in that first box. The financial commitment ID is the account number or the loan number. And I showed you on your statements and we talked about how that was on your statements and on your loan contract earlier. And then after you submit all this information, you're going to remember the username and password you submitted. One of the things the system does do is it does what's called multi-factor. It's going to want your cell phone number. It's going to want to send your cell phone number a PIN number that you have to then enter in the computer in order to go further. This additional security helps us help keep your personal information safe. All right. So once you've set up the account, you can go into the Capital Access Financial System, enter your username and password, and then you're going to go into eLend. It's going to say welcome. It's going to have your name, and it's going to say borrower loan search. On the next screen, it's going to show any loans that you may have. See the big red make a payment option? It's there as well. It shows you the status, the loan amount, and right here on the first page. So when you're looking at this one, this person had an older loan that is now paid in full, and they've got a current, the one that says dispersed current. This is the disaster loan that you're probably looking for. Once you go in there and you click on it, it shows you the loan number, the status, when it was originated, has other information available as well. Here it has your payment schedule. It shows you your current balance, your daily accrual, that's how much interest you earn per day, your interest rate on the loan, how much outstanding and total interest is there, and then you can also get a payoff statement as well from this. Lastly, if there were statements that were sent to you, there is a sleeve in this where documents are stored. This specific document is a 1099-C. This is only for people who did not pay a loan. However, these statements are available. There's a button that says statements. So you can view your monthly statements on there, and you can see historically where you were, and you can see any current statements. If you were clicking the statement list and you were looking for, let's say, the first statement of 2020, 2022, and the last statement for 2022 for your accountant, there should be a list of them here that you'll be able to click on and provide that to your accountant. When viewing a certain statement, after you click on it, you can see that the payment due date is there, how much the principal, how much the last payment was, date of last payment, principal balance, all this information is available. Again, if there is a 1099-C, it's a very rare situation, this is where that would be as well. And with that, that is how you view your loan information. Going forward, a lot of you want to make payments as well. Getting your loan information requires you to go through some security procedures. Making payments, you can do so with or without an accountant. You can actually do it on a different website. In order to explain this process to you further, Janelle is going to take it from here. Janelle?
Hello. So I'm going to walk you through setting up a pay.gov account or how to make a payment without a pay.gov account. So on one of the previous screens, Christian showed you the red make a payment button next to your loan number. If you click that make a payment, it will bring you to www.pay.gov, and you can create an account there. You don't have to, but it's a good idea. That way you don't you can have a history of your payments with that. If you create an account or you make a loan payment without an account or outside of the account you created, you don't have a history of that other than the confirmation email. And it makes it quite a bit harder to cancel or change a payment. So you go to pay.gov and click create an account. Right next to it here on the left says sign in. So once you have an account, you'll choose that. So you'll click create an account, choose the type of account that you want, whether it's personal or business. And then you'll fill in your name, address, your name, email address, click the I agree box, and then click activate account. They'll send you an email, you'll verify your email, and then you will continue on to finish the information. So once you've got your account set up and you click sign in, you'll put in the username that you chose when you created an account and the password. And then you'll click sign in, and then you'll get this verification. Remember that two-factor verification that Christian was talking about on CAFs? You'll have the same kind of thing on pay.gov. And you'll get a choice to either send something to your email, a security code that you'll put in, or you can answer one of the secret questions. So once you're in, it'll say verification complete, and you can have them recognize the device, or you can say, no, it's a public device. Maybe you're at a library or a shared computer or something like that. You want to make sure that it has your username here. So it'll say welcome and then whatever username you chose. So make sure that that is there if you're signed into an account. You're always going to use the 1201 borrower payments, and then you can click go to my account here. So under the 1201 borrower payments, and it'll remember you once you've done it a couple of times. It'll say previously you submitted a 1201 borrower payment, click here, and that'll take you right to that form, or you can click on the My Forms. It'll take you there, and we'll get to that next. And then we'll also get to payment activity in a few slides coming up. So the 1201 borrower payment, it's going to ask your name, address, city and state, your SBA loan number, and the payment amount that you want. Now, most of this, once you have created an account, is going to pre-fill for you. And the payment amount, you'll need to make sure you enter the amount that you want, or if you need to change it, this is where you would change it. So once you have chosen a payment amount, it'll say, how do you want to make the payments? So you can choose either a bank account, PayPal, or debit card. You cannot make a payment using a credit card. I know I've had a lot of people that wanted to try and make a payment with their credit cards to get points, but this won't accept that. Only bank accounts, PayPal, or debits. Once you've chosen that, you'll choose next. And then it'll ask you, do you want to make just a one-time payment, or do you want to set up recurring payments? And then it'll ask what date you want to make the payments on, which you can make it today, the earliest payment date, or maybe tomorrow, or you can choose a date in the future. And then it'll have your name pre-filled here. And it'll have the different account numbers that you've made. It'll store those account numbers that you've used in the past. And it'll have your SBA loan number down here. So you want to make sure that if you have multiple loans for different businesses, that you're making a payment on the right account. And then you'll choose review and submit your payment. And then it'll want you to check the I agree button and then submit payment. And then you'll get a confirmation. So you can also go to payment activity in pay.gov, and on this, it'll show you what payments are out there. This all button is going to show you any payments that have been created in the past. Maybe you started out making 2 payments or $1,000 a month to try and get it paid down quicker or something like that. And then you changed it to the normal payment. It'll show both of those payments under the all button. Even though you may not be a recurring payment, it'll show any payment that you've created under there, as long as you were logged in. If you are not logged in and you just basically make a payment as a guest, for lack of a better term, it will not show up in your payment history. I've had more than one borrower who has created a payment without being signed in and then gone in and created a payment when they were signed in and have made double payments because they couldn't see or remember the first payment that they made as a guest. So you'll want to make sure that you're super careful for that. Completed is previous payment methods that have been canceled. Pending is going to be payments that are made or ongoing. And this, you can use this view details, view receipt, cancel. It's really helpful. View details is going to show you your payment history, and the receipt's going to be your payment confirmation. And you should get email confirmations on these as well. So you can cancel a payment. Say you made a payment ahead of time, or you've scheduled payments or recurring payment and something has come up, or maybe you don't have the money in your account that you expected to be there. You can go to the payment activity and the pending page and cancel. But if it's due today, you cannot cancel it. It's too late. You have to be ahead of it at least 1 business day. If not, you can try to contact the pay.gov help desk and see if they can cancel it. But again, if it's highly unlikely that they'll be able to cancel a payment that's due today. You can edit or change recurring payments. So like I said, if for a while, maybe you have some extra money or you want to pay it down quicker, you can change a recurring payment. You can change the method that you're using to make that. And those should be done at least 3 business days ahead rather than the 1. When you change your bank account, it won't change the bank account for a recurring payment. So if you've got a recurring payment, you want to choose. So say maybe you're paying with a debit card, or you closed your checking account for some reason. You'll need to make sure you changed your account on the My Account page. You'll also need to change it under the pending page as well. And then set up a new recurring payment with that new information. So you can also change your address on your loan. You have to be logged in. You can't do it just making the 1201 borrower payment as a guest. But at the end, or I'm sorry, in the beginning, it'll ask you, it'll have your name at the top, and it'll say, by checking this box, I want to change my address. And then that will, you'll need to enter the new address, and that will send a change of address to SBA so you don't have to call customer service. You can do password resets. If pay.gov doesn't recognize the password that you've entered, You have to log in every few months. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I want to say it's 90 or 120 days. If you don't log in, you may have to change your password or you may get locked out. If you don't remember your security questions, you can contact the help desk as well, and they'll ask you a different question because it only gives you have 3 security questions that you set up an account with, but it's only going to ask you one of those 3 questions. The help desk can see the other 2, and they'll ask you the question to one of those other 2. If you get an error message when you're updating or creating your password, it just means that it doesn't meet the requirements and you need to retake a look at the requirements and choose something else. You can go to My Forms and it'll show you the 1201 borrower payments that you've submitted before. It'll show you the date, the time, if it was accepted or not. And here, if you want to duplicate a previous payment, you can do that, or you can view it in PDF as well. All right. Christian, were you going to do this part?
I can, if you like, or we can do it together, Janelle, whichever you prefer. So Janelle, will EIDL loans be forgiven, or is there the ability to have these forgiven?
These are not going to be forgiven. These are definitely loans. They are not grants. And I know there was an email going around not too long ago that these were going to be forgiven. These are not. This is an actual loan that will not be forgiven.
So I'm looking to sell or close my business. What do I do?
You will want to contact the EIDL Servicing Center for your loans. The majority of loans in Kansas are going to be serviced out of El Paso. And right here, you've got the Disaster Customer Center here. The El Paso number is this 833-572-0502. And the Disaster Customer Service at sba.gov. That's how you would get in touch.
I think we got the El Paso on the next coming page.
Okay, good.
So next question is, how do I get a copy of my loan documents? Oh, I skipped one, sorry. Loan documents.
You can get a hold of whichever disaster center your loan is with, and they should be able to give you a copy of your note.
What do I do if I'm having trouble making my payment?
Again, contact your loan servicing center, either Birmingham or El Paso, and they should be able to help you. One thing I want to say is we can help you with some general things at the disaster or at the district offices, but we can't do anything with your servicing or get you copies of the notes. You'll have to get those from the servicing center. We can help you with your pay.gov. We can help you with CAFs. We can't unlock you, but we can help. We can do a lot of things to help, but we cannot do anything with servicing.
So with the CAFs portal, the account that I talked to you about, if you're having trouble, you can, there's an email address here that you can have email to get help, or call the number with the CAFs account. They can help you with technical portions. If you're having trouble with your social security number or something not matching, your email address not matching or something like that, if you get a strange error, they may have to refer you to the Disaster Loan Servicing Center. So which disaster loan servicing center you're going to use will depend on your location. Janelle, as Janelle said, most people on this call, if you're in Kansas or Missouri, you're in the El Paso Disaster Loan Servicing Center, and we have their information coming next. So you can, if you had questions about changing your business, a lien subordination, partial releases, if you're selling a piece of property, again, you can call them, you can email them. This is how you get in touch with them. So as Janelle was saying, if you have inquiries and you're having a rough time, I saw one of the questions in the chat was, I've called the Disaster Loan Servicing Center. I just need my account number. That is something that we are willing to do for you in the local offices. Once we've verified your identity, if you do need your account number or your next due, that is something we have the capability to do, but it's very limited, as Janelle was saying. We don't have access to your notes, your loan payments, or anything like that. So Janelle did a good job of showing everybody how to set up reoccurring payments in pay.gov. That's available in English and Spanish. And Janelle, you want to talk about our resource partners?
Yes, and one thing that I forgot to say is please use the automated payments if possible. We've had several checks mailed to our office. We can't accept those checks in our office. So when we get those, we actually will call you and walk you through how to do the pay.gov, and then we'll return the check to you. So please do not mail your payments to our offices. We cannot accept those. We've got some resource partners, a couple that are on, or the SBDC is on the phone today, that do, they offer free services, counseling. They also do things like business valuations, and so they have a lot of services that they can offer. Some are free or very low cost. So we've got the small business development centers here. They're all over the state of Kansas. We've got SCORE business counselors that are in several areas. We've got a women's business center, veterans business outreach centers, and then some community navigators. And I think Mr. Barrera had said at the beginning to look for a resource partner or your local office, the sba.gov/local-assistance.
And if I could just add a little bit more on that, I'm grateful for the Small Business Development Center for organizing us this presentation and hosting it. So that leaves it open. I believe there was a couple of questions. I don't know if they've been answered in chat. I was looking through them. However, if someone could let us know if there is any unanswered questions in chat.
Yeah, we've got we have one open one. I've had difficulty setting up an account on CAFS. Can you make it easier? I didn't have any difficulty setting up an account to get the loan, but paying it back has been much more complicated. So hopefully these step-by-step instructions help some, and we are going to email these instructions out to you later today, if not tomorrow. And then, of course, if you are still having trouble getting your CAFS account set up, please do reach out to one of us. We will be more than glad to walk you through it and try to help you one-on-one. And so our information will be posted where you can get in touch with us. A couple of the other questions that were in there that I think are important to kind of maybe answer, and we've been getting this question a lot, is that how do I make sure my payment applies to interest only? Or what happens if I make an extra payment right now? So what is happening right now is that your loan has been deferred for 30 months and interest has been accruing that entire time. any payment that you make right now will be applied to interest first. So even if you make an extra payment right now, it is still going to pay off that accrued interest first. So until that interest is paid off, you will not be making additional payments, or extra payment will not be going toward your principal until the accrued interest is taken care of. So that's probably a bit unfortunate, but that is the way that it is processing now. We do know that some folks have said they've reached out to disaster customer service to try to correct issues with not being able to access their loan, either because they're a nonprofit and there's not a social security number attached to it, or it's just an EIN and they need to get a social security number attached. You must have a social security number attached to the CAPS account. You cannot use your EIN. If you're a nonprofit and it wasn't set up with an individual's social security number, you'll have to get that taken care of. If you do not hear back from customer service within about a week, they say about 3 days. I know there's been a lot of these issues, especially now because people are really entering the repayment phase. There's a lot coming due in these next couple months for their first payments. So if you don't hear back, please contact us. One of us, we generally have the ability to kind of, trigger somebody or say, can you please look at this? Why is this not being addressed? So just get in touch with your office and we can do our best to try to move it along for you. I was looking to see if what else was in here. Again, a big thanks to the Kansas Small Business Development Center. They are recording this, so it will be able to be shared later. Let's see, we've got some more questions. Can we send monthly statements by mail? No, the monthly statements will not be sent hard copy. I believe that was covered in the loan agreement that was signed. All communications are going to be electronic. There will not be statements sent at all. So that is why it's very important that you get your CAPS account set up, because that is where you will be able to check your account balances, see what your due dates and that sort of thing. You do need, there's a question here about being able to, how do you access it without a cell phone? It definitely would have to be by a cell phone or a computer to get access. So unfortunately, yeah, and I think possibly we could maybe work with you. So get in touch with one of us so we can maybe find some alternative solutions. Let's see. The next question is pay.gov just as good as the CAPS payment system? This will be personal opinion, so there's the disclaimer. No, pay.gov certainly lets you make your payment. It does not let you see anything about your loan. So I think it's very important for everybody to do set up access to your CAPS account so you can monitor and see what your balance is, see what your due dates are, and make sure that your payments are being applied. So I think it's very important, because we're not going to be sending you monthly statements that say, your current, as of whatever the statement date is, your current balance is this, and you're being charged this much interest this month. So you won't, since you will not be getting a statement in any form, I think it's really important to have a CAPS account so you can monitor your loan balances and just all of that situation. Did I miss anything else, guys? Will SBA send out a year-end statement concerning interest paid for the year for tax purposes? No, they're not. So basically, I know this sounds terrible, but essentially, do not look for SBA to send you anything unless you are delinquent on your loan. So it's kind of your responsibility, I guess. We expect you to keep up with it. We've made the information is available in your tax system. You can get your year-end statements, the things that your accountants or your tax preparer might need. But as far as SBA sending things, that's not going to happen unless you become delinquent, and then you will start getting, you will receive initially emails, then you will receive phone calls, then you will receive paper items, and it is set up on a schedule. So once your loan becomes delinquent or in a non-payment status, you will start getting a series of communications from SBA. Otherwise, you will not. Okay, we answered that one. Can the interest be written off on taxes? I'm not an accountant, so I'm not sure. And if any of our loan specialists have an idea, but that is not my area of expertise and not tax law. It is not mortgage interest, so I really don't know.
I would say everybody's tax situation is different, and you'll have to talk to your tax provider.
Let's see. And again, I would just say too, is that, you know, for any of these issues you have, if you are having trouble finding the information you need for your accountant through your tax system, get a hold of us, because, you know, we've got some ability to get into your account and see. We cannot see what maybe the loan officers are doing or any notes they may have put in your account. If you've contacted them about various things, we cannot see that, but we can get some information for you. As you know, we have some limited ability to get some information for you, including things like payoff statements. So we do have the ability to get some of those things for you. It's just we can't see and get all of the details. So some of the basic things we can help you with. How do we know when the first payment is due? There should have been an email received. And Janelle or Christian, did they send anything else beyond an email about your first payment due date?
They did not.
Right, okay. I did not think that they had. So it would have been email. So whatever email account, and that's a, you know, be sure when you check your spam folders, your junk files, look through those filtered mailboxes and be sure that, you know, you whitelist those things. So whether it's an SBA.gov, if you're able to say anything from SBA.gov, let it through, or if it's specific senders, but you're going to need to be able to receive emails from CLS@SBA.gov. So that's relative to CAPS access, maybe the disaster customer service. I'm not sure what all the email accounts that they're using at this point, but do regularly, if you were expecting something, do regularly check your junk files to see, and because it's going to be to the email address you use for all of the other, for receiving your loan documents, for doing any of your signatures, or for even your application. So whatever you had used in the portal when you applied and did all of that, it'll be that email address. So be sure you still have access to it. Let's see, when would the email have been sent? I believe that they go out in batches based on how close it's coming to your due date. So it wouldn't have been that all however many million borrowers there are. It's not that they would have all gone at once. I think they start coming 30 or 60 days, I believe, before but if you have any question about that, reach out to us. Give us some of your information and we can look it up and we'll be able to tell you who the first due date is. You may not even have your loan number, right? So with a bit of your personal information, please don't email it. Give us a call or send us an email saying I need help. Don't be emailing your social security number or your EIN numbers to us. Give us a call or send us an email asking for a return call so that we can help you look that up and identify, you know, your loan number as well as your first due date. Alternatively, of course, you can call customer service, but I do understand that there are issues sometimes getting through, and that sometimes it seems lately, sometimes when the phone isn't answered or it rolls over. So all else fails, please do. This part of the purpose of us doing this as well is to make sure that you all know you have local SBA contacts. They're not all in Birmingham. They're not all in Dallas or California. We are here. We are local. And maybe we didn't know you before the pandemic, but we're here for you now. So we want to be sure you know you've got a local contact. So I can kind of explain this. It's not really a question, it's mostly a statement about SBA requiring an individual social security number when we're only working with businesses. So most government has to get it down to a living, breathing person. So in any of your programs or systems, whether it's social security, obviously, but you know, USDA or SBA or or treasury, any of those, whenever we're dealing with an entity, we start off, of course, by using the EIN because it's a business, but we have to get it down to a heartbeat, essentially. So if you've got a business that is owned by another business or a holding company or a trust or something along those lines, we have got to get all businesses have to come back to a living, breathing human. That helps us prove that it's owned by a person, it's a real business, and also helps us monitor government benefits and making sure with our affiliation, all of that. So that is why it has to go down to the Social Security level, and why it has to go, additionally, why we have to get to 85% ownership, because we're trying to make sure it's not companies owning companies kind of thing.
Sarah, that's consistent through all of banking, lending.
Yes. So, yeah. And you have a banking background, but I mean, I've been in government for a very long time, and it's always been
Same thing at the bank. You get a loan and we all the way down to the heartbeat. You're absolutely right. And the other part of that too is when, we're requiring multiple pieces of information, but a lot of times your company EIN number might be on the W-2 or a 1099. And by requiring the Social Security number, it helps us further identify that we're providing the information about your loan to the right person.
Exactly. Are there other questions? I don't see any yet. There's just a couple other things I really, really want to emphasize to everybody. And that is, if you are contemplating any kind of change in the structure of your business, and I know this was covered in the slides, but I just want to really re-emphasize it for everybody. Any kind of change in the structure of your business. So whether that is you are moving from an LLC to an S Corp or a C Corp, or you're bringing on investors, or you're going to sell off a part of the business, or you're going to restructure to where the business is now owned by a holding company that you also own. So anything that's going to change the structure of your business, the legal structure, the ownership structure, even just your address. Your address is a simple notification, but if you're changing anything relative to the legal or ownership structure of your business, you must notify SBA, and please do it before you do it. I know that the time is lengthy sometimes to get your response, but if you're contemplating doing any of that, you need to, your loan authorization agreement says that you will get prior approval by SBA before you restructure your business way. I think that is very important, particularly because if you do it up front, the dozen or so of these we've been involved in the last few months, where there's been some sort of structural change or ownership change to the business. The ones we've been involved in, if you work with SBA up front, it's much easier to A, get it accomplished, and B, get them to agree or sign off on what it is you're proposing. If it's an after the fact, then it's, well, now we have to go through all of these hoops and figure out what it should have been, what you should have done, and then it just gets way more difficult. So if you're, anything that you're thinking of doing, to change, bring on investors, or, I've got one that we're looking at where they are acquiring another company, yet the other company they're acquiring is actually going to be now responsible for the physical assets. And so the whole, even though they're acquiring another business, kind of the ownership structure changes of the original business. So it's really important to get SBA in there upfront before you complete anything. The other reason I'll say that's really important is because some of these things take time. If you are selling your business and for whatever reason, the sale is contingent upon you settling this EIDL loan, right? That can't happen overnight. If you pay in full your EIDL loan, we receive those funds paid in full. There is a mandatory hold on that account. I believe it's 15 business days. It's either 10 or 15. It's a weird number, like maybe even 12, but it's business days. So that is not count. It's not calendar. It's business days. And what that hold means is that we've got the money. Your account is showing paid in full, but we're holding on to it, making sure A, it clears, and B, it's not canceled, and anything else happens, and we sit on it. The processing center actually just sits there with a timer for that many business days before they will do anything to that loan. So if you're expecting a lien release, you're not going to get it in a very short order in order to make a closing if you're selling your business. So those are the kinds of things to keep in mind, is that it will take some time to get through it. It's not that it won't happen, it will, but there's an actual clock that ticks that they will not release the lien until then. The other thing to keep in mind, if you are seeking a lien release, you are responsible for filing it. SBA does not file it for you. So we will give you the proper paperwork, but then you'll have to file it with the state. SBA does not file in all of the states. So that's something to consider. The other thing too, which I feel like I'm like raining on everybody's parade right now, but if you are selling your business or considering selling your business and thinking that the new owner, that the loan goes with the business, that is not necessarily true. The loan goes with the business as it currently is, with you owning it. So if you are intending to sell your business and for the loan to go with it, that's not always possible. And it's actually not preferable to SBA. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but there's a lot of work that has to be done with getting multiple years of the buyer's tax returns and cash flow statements and whatever else for the business. And so SBA's default position is that the loan will be paid off with proceeds from the sale. You must settle the loan before you can change ownership and sell the business. So while yes, the loan is to the business and not to you personally, it is to the business, but it's to the business with you as the owner. So don't assume, even if the buyer is willing to take on the EIDL loan, do not assume that SBA is going to be amenable